Hey there, everybody. So this video is going to show you how to complete the Onshape exercise 1, the shape fitting activity here. Our goal is going to be to create a separate, wow, I spelled that wrong, a separate part which fits neatly into the existing pocket in the template provided through the attached Onshape document. So that's going to be down here. Ultimately, what we're creating is you are going to get something that looks like this, and you're going to create this shape that is a separate piece, if I hide the base, that is going to fit nicely into there. And if we look closely, there's a bit of a gap along the side. So I'm showing this because there's a lot of you who are going to have a lot of different reasons that you might need to create something like this where something fits into something else. And we've talked about it a lot on paper, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to play around and refresh your Onshape skills while also accomplishing that task. So right here in the assignment, yours will look a little different, but you should have a link like this, and the video will be here as well that I'm making right now. So if you click on this link, what it should do is it will open up to Onshape. And just like in my case here, I'm not signed in yet, so it's not going to let you make a copy of it. So what you'll have to do is go up here. If you're signed in, you may have a copy button right now, but if not, go up here and say sign in. And hopefully your email address and password will automatically fill. If they don't, you may have to remember what they are, type them in. But we did this before with the key tags. You may have to remember your password, forget your password. But I'm going to hit sign in, and I'm using the Osgood student account here. Now what happens is you still can't edit this because what we need to do is we need to make a copy. So we had to log in first. Now it says I'm logged in up here. It has my name up here. That's the name of the account. I'm going to click make a copy. And then you could put your name after this. So maybe I'll put Osgood. I'll put Doug. That's my first name. You could put your first name or something like that. But then when you say, okay, it's just going to make a copy of this document that you are then going to be able to edit. And that is our goal, is to give you this version you can edit. So if you remember zooming in and out in Onshape, if you have a mouse, you can scroll with the scroll wheel, or you can do 2-finger swipe to scroll in and out with your trackpad on a Chromebook. So this is what we are going to work with here. I'm also going to remind you now that you can use the arrow keys on the keyboard to rotate, or we call it orbit the view. And if you hold Control and Shift and do the arrow keys, it will pan, which means it'll slide the view left, right, up, down, etc. And then finally, if you need to reset, you can click on this little gray rectangle and just pick the first option, and it'll reset your view to a nice view. So anyways, in order to create this shape that I showed before inside here, if you remember from the key tag activity, to create anything in Onshape, just like we see over here, you have to start with a sketch, then you extrude it. That's how I created the block. You do another sketch, which in this case was the opening, and then you do an extrude, and in this case I did a remove. So for us, we're going to have to create yet another sketch, and the bottom of this pocket, I call it a pocket, that's what it's called when you have like something scooped out of there and there's like a pocket. We're going to create a sketch in the bottom of this, and then we're going to extrude it upward. So the first step is to create a sketch. So I'll click the Create Sketch button. It says Select a Sketch Plane. Well, the plane or the flat surface we'll sketch on is right in the bottom of this pocket. So I just clicked down there, inside there. That was one click. And then what we're going to use is we're going to use the offset tool, which should be right here. If you have a smaller screen and you can't find this little symbol here with the lines, with the blue lines inside of it, you can always go over here and search for offset right there. And if you're not seeing any of these tools or this dialog, it may mean that you didn't actually complete the sketch. And that happens to people sometimes. So make sure you actually selected a plane and everything. So I turned on my offset tool. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick all 4 edges of the inside of here. And you might say, oh, I can't get that one. That's where we're going to use the arrows on the keyboard to orbit the view or rotate it so we can see those lines. So I'm hovering with the mouse till it lights up, and then I'm clicking to select it, and it'll become a darker orange. We can tilt the view back here. And this blue line on the outside is showing the offset version of the lines you just picked that will be created. But we don't want it going outwards. So I'm going to drag this arrow back until it's going in the inward direction. And then I want to change this number here. Well, I can change that by just clicking anywhere else, clicking over in some white space over there. That works. And now I get to type in the number, which is the distance away from the original lines I picked that I want the new lines to appear. In this case, we can just do about 1/4 of a millimeter. So I'll do 0.25. And what that's going to do is it's going to leave about, if I look at the top view by clicking on the top of the cube, it's going to leave about 0.25 on this side, which means there's also 0.25 on that side. So our total wiggle room is about 0.5 millimeters, which is a nice amount to make sure that this will slide in and out without scraping. So now that that's all set, I'm going to click this gray cube and go to the first option to reset my view. I'm going to accept my sketch with the green check mark. And like I said, the last step is just to extrude. So if I pick the extrude option here, and I hover around until just the inside square that I just made lights up, and I click once, what it's going to do is it's going to start extruding that. Now we have to change some options before we accept this. The big thing that we have to change is right now we are adding material, which you'll notice this is about the same color as the underneath part, which means it would turn this into one big chunk of material. And that's not what we want. We want 2 parts, not just one. So instead of adding, we're going to pick new. And this is, now you see this change color, it got a little darker. This is creating a new piece using that sketch that we just picked, that we just created by offsetting the original outside of the pocket. Okay. And finally, let's change the depth. I will tell you guys that the height of this is 5 millimeters and the floor, if you will, of the pocket is about 3 millimeters. So we're just going to do 5 millimeters for the depth of the actual extrusion. And if I hit enter, we'll see that update. So it's going to stick up a little bit out of there because it's raised up from the bottom of the actual base. Then I'll click the check mark. And now what we see, I'm going to move this out of the way, is we see 2 parts over here. And to stay organized, we can right click on one of these. Whoops, my face is in the way again. We can right click on one of these and pick rename. And to right click, if you're on a Chromebook, it's a 2-finger click or a 2-finger tap on the trackpad. And I'm going to call this the square because the square is lit up, it looks like. I think that was right. I hope that was right. Uh-oh, I did it wrong. I'm going to hit undo. I just hit Control-Z on the keyboard, or you can hit undo up there. I meant to rename this one base because it looks like when I click on it, the base lights up. So I'll rename that base, enter, and then we'll click off in space to unselect everything. And then we'll click on part 2, which is the square. I'll right click, rename, square, boom. And that finishes up how to create this shape in here. So the last step is to just create a screenshot, upload it to that assignment right there. If you need help creating a screenshot, just ask, or you can Google how to create a screenshot on a Chromebook and it'll come up really quick. So this should be the instructions on how to do the shape fitting activity. And I hope this helps people. Good luck on this, and let me know if you have questions.